What's up guys? Today we're going to take a look at a pair of KEF KF92 subwoofers. Now before we get these unboxed, if you're new to the channel and love home theater, hi-fi, or new movies, then be sure to tap the subscribe button for new weekly videos. Alright, let's see what's in the box. Inside the box, we get a power cord, and here we have a high-level input adapter. Now this is a tiny little subwoofer. It's a totally sealed enclosure measuring 12.9 inches wide by 13.8 inches high by 14 inches deep, and it's a stout 44 pounds. It's got a shiny gloss finish with an impeccable build quality. Up front, you'll find only the KEF logo, while on each side are dual-opposed side-firing 9-inch drivers. The cones are hybrid aluminum/paper pulp, and they're very stiff. Now, both of the drivers are active and powered each by their own 500-watt Class D amplifier. Since these are opposed drivers, they'll cancel out any internal cabinet vibrations. The KF92 is rated down to 11 Hz, which sounds really impressive for such a tiny subwoofer. Around back is the expansion port, a variable crossover from 40 to 140 Hz, the volume knob, an LFE switch, 4 selectable EQ presets, a phase switch at either 0 or 180 degrees, so it isn't variable, a ground lift switch which is used in case you're hearing any type of hum. Here's the high-level input if you want to wire these right to your speakers. Only issue is, the adapter is so small, you're limited to how thick of a cable you can use. Next to that is the unbalanced line inputs. They're selectable high-pass filters and line outputs, and underneath that is the main power switch and the AC input. For setup, I'll be hooking both subwoofers up using the LFE input using an unbalanced RCA cable. I'm a little surprised there isn't a balanced XLR in at this price point, but it is what it is. Both subs are going to be hooked up to a Trinnov Altitude 16, and I'll be using as a PD Pro 4K media player to play back any content. The subwoofers are also going to be paired with Bowers & Wilkins CT series speakers in my dedicated theater. I'll be turning off any room correction in the processor and using only what's available on the subwoofers to make any adjustments. For listening purposes, I've only tested these with movies, first being my go-to for 2020, Midway on 4K Blu-ray. It's got a demo-worthy Atmos mix with a crazy sustained peak at about 28 to 30 Hz. It happens during the first aerial attack when that little girl is playing outside. If I didn't tell you which subwoofer was playing, you might think it was this giant 18-inch Skendo sub doing all the work. Surprisingly enough, two of these KF92s blew my mind at how low they can go and how hard they shook my theater.
Get the wounded below deck! Everyone else battle stations!
You would not think all of this bass was coming from these little cubes. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, the extension kinda seemed as good as my PB16's. Next up, I threw in Interstellar on 4K Blu-ray. This movie has some crazy peaks at 30 and around 55 Hz. It's also got one of the best musical scores, so I wanted to see how well they integrated with my speakers and handled Hans Zimmer's work. I'm still amazed at how great the KF92s handled the shuttle takeoff. They're able to play painfully loud, but still remain clear at louder than normal listening levels. If you crank the volume too hard, you can make them run out of steam and get a little sloppy, but we're talking about levels that would make listening to an entire movie very unenjoyable. The wormhole scene is another subwoofer killer with organ notes that drop intensely low but plays extremely loud. It's one of the redeeming qualities of this mix. It starts off subtle but slowly swells up to deafening levels. The KEF subwoofers did a stellar job handling the dynamic swings, and they also have some fantastic musical prowess. It played those low rumbling background notes that heightens the soundstage and expands everything outwards. Now, to test how fast and punchy these subwoofers are, I had to throw in Fury on 4K Blu-ray. You already know the type of slam you're going to get when those tanks start shooting. Well, I figured since these sounded so good with the interstellar musical score, they'd be equally impressive with the quick, loud tank fire. They're fast, they're quick, it's like being slapped in the face. It's sealed subwoofer goodness. Last but not least is Edge of Tomorrow. Everyone knows the first few seconds plays down to infrasonic levels. It's bass that you feel rather than hear. So let's see what these tiny little enclosures can handle.
I'm not sure if we're even on the air.
They didn't do bad. I didn't get any single-digit hair-raising response, but I wasn't expecting that. You kinda need a bigger box to move a lot of air, and these little guys just can't cut it. That being said, there's still plenty of extension down low. I think if you've never felt infrasonics from this movie, then you probably would have never known it was there, and you'd still be blown away by the sheer output from the KEFs. At the time of this video, a single KF92 retails for $2,000. I know many of you are going to say you can pick up a much bigger subwoofer from brand J, P, or R, but these subs aren't for the folks that want a gigantic commercial-grade subwoofer in their house. It's near that level of performance, just hidden away in a tiny package. It's small and unassuming, and can compete with subwoofers many times their size. They can sound just as good, and even in some respects, sounding even better than those bigger subs. Now, to be fair, I was getting knockout performance in my listening space. I don't have the biggest room, and we know that the room plays a big role in the kind of response you can expect to get. So depending on the type of room you have, these subs can either sound better or worse than what I've experienced. If you've got a large space, then 1 or 2 subs might not be able to move as much air to shake your room. Like I said, with the Interstellar, if you play these too loud, you can make them sound a bit sloppy, but these are levels you wouldn't want to sit through for an entire 2-hour movie. You'll just have to give these a listen for yourself. As mentioned before, I was surprised there were no XLR inputs at this price point. For $2,000, just having unbalanced RCA ins isn't good enough. This is a top-tier subwoofer and should really have top-tier connections, so maybe in the next version, we'll see that happen. Well, that about wraps it up. I think if you want large subwoofer performance in a small package, the KF92 is going to be a hard act to follow. It's an amazing home theater subwoofer and will also sound fantastic in a 2-channel music setup. It's quick and responsive and punches well above its physical size. It's now my favorite small size subwoofer, and even something I'd contemplate keeping for myself. So what are your thoughts on the KEF KF92? Have you heard it, and how do you think it sounds? Also, why is it that we never hear about KEF subwoofers? Leave a comment and let us know. As always guys, thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, then give it a like, and if you're not a subscriber, then tap the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys again in the next video.